Hello, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to record my presentation to contribute to the Manifesto Innovation Challenge today. And I'm sorry not to be able to join you in person. My name's Ruth Stewart. I'm the former head of the Africa Evidence Network, and I now work as the director of the Alliance for Living Evidence, known as ALIVE. Now, the purpose of my presentation today, the request that has come to me, is to share with you one practice or institutional shift that demonstrates how resourcefulness, principled leadership, and inclusivity can create meaningful impact across Africa's evidence ecosystem. And the innovation that I'd like to share with you is both new and as old as the hills. And it is around partnerships, really building authentic partnerships. Many of us talk about partnership working in teams, working collaboration, but I believe it's actually quite innovative to really think about how to build authentic partnerships. Now, to tell you a little bit of a story about this and some of my history, when I got my degree, when I first started working in the evidence field, I really thought I could make a difference by striving myself, by being clever, by thinking about producing really great evidence, by encouraging people to use it, etc. But the truth is that this was an uphill battle in many, many ways. And it was only when I began to think about the innovation of partnership and what this might mean that my work became more and more impactful. And this is what I want to share with you today. So I started working with various colleagues from across the continent, even before we formed the Africa Evidence Network. And as that network began to innovate, to really bring in strong leadership from across the continent and think about inclusion, I've added an extraordinary collection of amazing people from across the continent and in my new role with Alive, increasingly around the world, through teamwork, leadership, innovation, building trust, building really inclusive and diverse networks across the research sector, across the policy and practice sector, and even more in learning relationships, and in really thinking about how we can tackle problems together. And through this, we've increasingly built partnerships that have a real impact, not just on my work and the work of those who I'm partnering with, but I believe across the African ecosystem as well. So through this, I've really learned that it's not just about partnership. It's not just about signing a funding proposal that we're going to work together across a continent, or I don't know, write a paper together, or work on a very specific and time-bound thing. It's something much more than that. It's about building partnerships that are really authentic, that are based on a desire to have an impact. And that impact focus is really what's driven these kinds of innovations over time and across different sectors and different ways of working. So these partnerships need to be authentic. They need to be impact focused. They need to be about learning and sharing together. Partnerships have never been about have one person having the answer. It's about collective answers and collective working. And that's been really important, I believe, for my work and for the African ecosystem. It's also been about long-lasting relationships. And some of these images that I'm sharing with you today are about working relationships and partnerships that span some maybe only 6 months or so, but some that span 6 years or even 26 years, and that's been really important. And then I just add that these are partnerships that are innovative. They don't stand still. They're looking for solutions. They're looking for shared solutions and better solutions over time. So this is the innovation that I really want to share with you, and show that it's really had an impact not just on me and my work, but I believe the continent and how the continent works as well. Just to share a little bit about why I believe this matters. This is coming together in my current work as director of Alive in what we're calling the Alive approach. But many of you will recognize pieces of this approach and work that we've been doing over many, many years. So it really is around having a cycle, an integrated process, rather than thinking, well, the evidence is set in stone and the methods are set in stone. We have to work out how to use that evidence better. or policy is set in stone and we need to think about how to produce better research. It's really about using partnership approaches to think about how we can build a system that is better fit for purpose and that can really drive impact. So it's around collaborative partnerships of decision makers who are facilitated to engage and understand and align. It's around building evidence banks of data and analysis that really respond to those needs of decision makers and to make sure that that evidence is connected and plugged into the real world, but also useful with decision makers at the center. And that those evidence banks are dynamic. So not just up to date in terms of the latest evidence, but also evolving and responding as needs change amongst decision makers and needs across the continent more broadly. And then building in an efficiency, because partnership work, I believe, it takes time and effort, but it's also about having an impact that's greater than the sum of its parts. And as we build these evidence banks and as we facilitate their use, we can really drive some efficiency, collaboration that cuts waste to ensure that decision makers are served from evidence that's drawn from shared data banks and shared analysis. And that by doing this, we can have an evidence system that's much more effective in delivering evidence quickly to where it's needed and to have a real impact in doing so. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share this innovation with you today, and I wish you the best for the rest of your discussion. Thank you.